Welcome to the Toastmasters Experience. My name is Evelyn. Get inspired by today's Toastmasters Insights. Enjoy the show. I'm so excited today to have Lou in the studio, and we're going to start off at the very beginning because this is the Toastmasters Experience. When did you first join Toastmasters, and what motivated you to join Toastmasters?
Thanks, Evelyn. I have a slightly different story to most Toastmasters. Most people go predominantly to improve their public speaking, but I've been a member for 20 years, and I joined because I thought I was happily married for 22 years, and then one day I got the "I don't love you" story, and my husband left, and my whole life pretty much changed in that moment. And it's really embarrassing to tell people this. I think I must have been reading some teenage girls magazine at the time, and it said, he was still living at the house at the time, and it said, make him wonder where you're going and go out and live a life. And so I joined Toastmasters. I looked up all these activities, but I walked in the door of there and I had 1 foot in and I had 1 foot out, and I thought, what am I doing here? It's only been 9 weeks. I'm not up for this. And I turned to go, and I think someone thought that I had a complete fear of public speaking, and they took me by the arm. Her name was Margaret McQuillan. I hope she hears this one day. And she said, come on in, we'll look after you.
Wow.
Yeah, and she sat with me every meeting for months. This poor club, it was my first club, Ingleburn Toastmasters. I cried every meeting for 6 months. Something would trigger me, so if it was Mother's Day, I would cry because I'd lost my ex-mother-in-law. I was terrible. 6 months they looked after me. Over time, it helped me to heal because I just found there was so much more in life that I could do. And they're like a family. Your Toastmasters Club becomes like a family that travels through life with you, not just helping each other speak better and lead better, but it's like another family that adopts you, and the ups and downs in life, you talk about them, you share them, you encourage each other. So I have a slightly different story. So that's why I joined. It's a very different story to most people.
Very different because it is a self-development group, not a therapy.
Correct.
So,
I think my first icebreaker speech was probably a therapy speech.
Wow.
But it helps you to tell your story and reframe your story.
Yeah.
I became a different person. I feel like there's a line in my life. I'm two different people.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's I love that. So how many clubs are you in at the moment?
I'm in 6. So I have 4 in District 70. I belong to Ingleburn, Menai, and Stagetime and Just for Laughs. So Stagetime and Just for Laughs are advanced clubs. So when you've been there for a while, you love your everyday club experience, but sometimes you want to test yourself a little more. And during COVID, Toastmasters, I think it was 86% of our clubs went online. So Toastmasters powered through COVID, continued on, and through that I joined 2 clubs in the US. So I belong to Jackpot Speakers in Las Vegas, and I belong to a club called Contest Mastery, which is a specialty club which helps people who like to do contest speaking and professional speaking, and that's in Minnesota. Well, it's based in Minnesota, but both those clubs have members across the world.
Wow. And did you choose those 2 specific clubs in America because of that level of higher speaking? Is that correct?
Yeah, so the thing that attracted me to Jackpot Speakers, I had competed a lot in the evaluation contest and studied that at great depth, and they're called the home of the 30-minute evaluation. So 30 minutes of the meeting, no, someone doesn't get 30 minutes of evaluation, that would be an overload, intense. But through the meeting, they have round robin feedback, which I like. You get different perspectives. And Contest Mastery, yes, it's to help you. You're with a bunch of people that are as keen on contests as you, and it's a very supportive club. They usually watch everyone's contests around the world, and it's just a bunch of people with a shared interest, which is really encouraging for speakers.
Yeah. So I think when people join Toastmasters, they don't realize the contest element in it. So when did you first start competing in contests within Toastmasters?
I can't remember my first contest. I think probably I'd been there about 6 months because we have, in District 70, we do 4 every year. So in the first half, we work on a financial year from July to June. So in the first half of the year, we normally do, I think it's humorous and table topics, and then international and evaluation from January to June. I joined in May or June. No, 1st of April I joined. No, 1st of May I joined. So probably in the second contest season, I decided to try the humorous, which was really completely out of my comfort zone. Nothing I ever thought I would do, and I just fell in love. It's not about winning. Of course, you like to win. That's what you're trying to do, but you improve so much. I found it was the fastest way to learn more, and you got a lot of feedback, and you were in external places speaking. You could go beyond your club to bigger and bigger and bigger audiences, and it just tested you. When you got comfortable in your club, you could get uncomfortable and learn again and grow again by going somewhere different.
Okay, so you started contests quite early into your Toastmasters journey, and that kind of has led you throughout your whole 20 years? Have you competed like for the whole 20 years, or? For
the most part, yes.
Wow.
There's been a few times I have stepped back. So if I have been lucky enough to get to district quite a few times. One year I won the evaluation contest, so the next year I just stepped out and I got to do a different role. I got to be the compere of the district evaluation contest. So I probably very consistently competed, but there would have been moments when I'm travelling or doing something where I haven't.
Right.
But I generally have a go because I love it and it helps me grow.
And to be in competitions, I know that you can't actually do certain roles. Can you explain that?
So basically in Toastmasters, there are leadership roles. So you can lead your club, you can lead at club level, but the clubs are grouped together in areas. So from area above, they have to have leaders looking after these different segments of our district. You can't do those type of roles. Once you get beyond the club, you can't compete. The public relations manager can't compete, for example. There's just a handful of top leadership roles and area and division director roles and the reason for that is that sometimes area and division directors have to help each other with judging and things like that, so it just gets messy. I think if leaders and competitors are interlocked, it gets a little messy, and that's why Toastmasters makes the distinction. I will mention one thing if I may. So possibly the most exciting thing I've done, even though I compete, I was given so much help when I started as a competitor. So the first time I competed, I was handed a note by someone and it said, "Everyone here wants you to do well."
Oh, yeah.
And I've never forgotten that. But part of being a Toastmaster is also serving other people. So whilst, of course, I want to win, and of course I like to help other people as well, I think it's one of the features of Toastmasters. It's not a dog-eat-dog world. It's such a wonderful environment to compete in because other people will help you, but you also help other people. So there's a real spirit of camaraderie and friendship, even though you're competing. And I think because people might hear competition and think it's quite
that's true.
That's edgy, and it's not like that at all. It's fun because you meet other Toastmasters and it pushes you in new ways.
Within your club meeting, what roles do you actually like to do? Like, do you like to be the Toastmaster or the Table Topics Master? What role do you prefer?
I do like being the Table Topics Master. I like to be creative. You can do different things. You could bring in a bag of props, for example. You could just have fun questions around the theme of the night. A lot of meetings have a theme. I've seen people do pictures. Sometimes you can put funny pictures up on the screen and ask people to be a character in that scene. I like to be creative with table topics. I also like some of the specific roles that some of the clubs have. For example, at Stagetime and Advanced Club, we do creative warm-up. I like the challenge of finding something that's really engaging and will stretch the members. In Jackpot, when you're the Toastmaster, you actually set the theme of the meeting over there. Here in Australia, we tend to have the Vice President of Education set the theme. Over there, the Toastmaster has more control of the meeting, so you can take that creative approach. And they have some really wonderful roles that you get to manage. And one of them is, it's called the win-min moments. And you have a minute to describe where you've won in life with Toastmasters. So you might have won a competition, or you might have spoken up at work and got that promotion in an interview. It's a really fun thing. And then they have recognition moments where you can thank other club members for helping you.
Oh, wow. I love
So when you're Toastmaster there, you get to do some really lovely roles as well.
Sorry, we'll go back to competing because I love this topic. How do you prepare for a speech?
It's actually a lot of work, a lot of writing and rewriting. I used to go into contests. I just shudder at this now. I used to go into contests. One of my early ones in the very early years, I had 1,400 words for 7 minutes. That's just crazy. These days, I don't go past about 700 tops because you've got to allow for reactions and you want every word to count. So for me, there's lots of different things. You've got the process of the writing, which is constant. You're always tweaking and you go out and get feedback. And the higher up you go, the more clubs you probably visit to get feedback. And then there's the actual practicing.
Yeah.
So with Zoom, because our clubs went on Zoom, suddenly you could practice anywhere in the world. And whilst you're not on Zoom necessarily competing, you can still get feedback on your message. You can get feedback on your vocal variety. So you can still use that. So that's been the biggest change as a competitor. I used to only be able to physically go to clubs in my district or the adjoining District 90, but often it would mean an hour and a half drive. Suddenly you could go to 10 clubs in a week just at a click of a button. So that's been a huge change. I think the hardest thing as a competitor, you must practice and you must be so polished, but you still got to be conversational.
Yeah,
and you don't want to lose, you know, if you tell the same story that's sad, 20, 30, 40, 50 practices, how do you still be genuine in the moment when you actually give it in the competition?
Yeah. How do you even practice that? I don't even know how you'd practice that, you know?
Yeah, it's very hard. So I've been struggling with this for 20 years. It's a very big challenge. There's a world champion called Verity Price, and last year I heard some tips from her, and I think it's the best tip I've ever heard, to practice to not lose that genuine in the moment feeling. Yeah. So she said to practice in different characters and different voices. So sometimes I would do my speech like an angry person, like, ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to talk, you know, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it sounds ridiculous and it is funny.
Yeah.
Or you could do it in a French accent, or you could...
Yeah.
And the reason... So you're practicing the content, you're practicing the timing, you're practicing the flow of your speech, but you're not exhausting the emotional content. You know, you're not doing it so many times that it becomes almost rote.
Right.
But that was a groundbreaking thing for me. I'd never heard that before.
It's funny, Toastmasters does that. You can be a member for 10 years and all of a sudden you'll hear one thing and it like, wow, that's just the best light bulb moment, and your speeches change forever from that moment. So I love that. I mean, for me, being in the Blue Mountains for so long, I wasn't really stretched until I moved down the hill and, you know, to an advanced club, and then, you know, joining Stagetime with you. But
then you take it back.
Yeah, that's true.
The beauty too.
That's true.
Our community clubs are fantastic.
Yeah.
But when people go out, they bring new ideas back into the club. So that light globe moment you've had, you then share in a speech, or you share it in an educational. Everyone is the better for it.
Besides Toastmasters, is there a podcast, or is there a book that you've read that's really inspired you to be a better speaker?
I really study the world champions who've won the contest, and I really like not just their speaking ability. I like the way they conduct themselves in terms of being humble, giving back. Some of them are incredibly generous. They never forget that Toastmasters got them started. Yeah. Not so much a book, but I really love Mel Robbins. I find the way she gives advice, she tells a story and then makes a point, which is the core of storytelling and Toastmasters. So I actually really enjoy, they're short, and I just listen to a lot of her things. And she's so authentic. You know, she's not afraid to get on camera without a makeup. You know, she's about to go in an ice bath and she'll just come out in her towel and her swimming costume and no makeup. And I learn a lot from watching her because she's so authentic. And she genuinely cares. And it just comes across to me that she genuinely loves people and wants them to live well. And it might sound funny, but I find her very inspiring as a speaker. Because she just nails being natural so well. So
what is something you've learned in Toastmasters that has totally surprised you?
Not so much an actual thing. I won't actually name one thing. If I had to sum up what surprised me the most about Toastmasters, I thought I knew what I could do. I had myself in this little box, and this is who I am, and this is what I do. I had no idea, for example, that I could end up emceeing my best friend's daughter's wedding.
Right.
And I had people coming up to me saying, how long have you been doing this? And I said, oh, it's my first time, but Toastmasters has equipped me. I never knew that years on after joining Toastmasters, I would have to get funding for my job for 5 years, and Toastmasters gave me the skills to present in a really interactive, engaging way and secure 5 years funding for my job. I never knew that I could even attempt to do a humorous speech. I mean, that's scary, to go out there for 7 minutes and hope that people laugh. So I think that's the thing. If you said to me, what surprised me, what's the surprising thing I've learned? I think people limit themselves so much. Not just because you're scared of public speaking. I wasn't really scared of it. I had fought an airport near my home once, and I'd actually addressed a rally.
Yeah.
I probably did really badly. I probably thought I was great that day. If I saw that now as a Toastmaster, I'd probably go, oh, it wasn't that good. I wasn't coming in as someone who wouldn't speak up or was scared, but I kind of thought I was at capacity. I thought, this is who I am. I could be so much more and do so much more. And that was the biggest delightful surprise of my life.
How do you stay motivated? 20 years. Now that's a long time. How do you stay motivated to want to give a speech, do that evaluation? What motivates you?
Oh, it's a very timely question.
Yeah.
So I just celebrated 20 years, and a couple of things in contests, a couple of other things just took the edge off me a little bit, and I would never leave. I wasn't at the point of leaving, but I felt restless. I kind of felt like I think I've plateaued. Oh gosh, am I tired of this? What's missing? And what I realized was I love challenges. That's one of the things that keeps me going as well. And I realized that maybe I was just doing too many speeches and churning them out, maybe not putting enough preparation in. And then I realized that I need to push myself more. So this year, my challenge is every month, I want to make sure that I've done at least one or more things that I haven't done before, or I will do a speech in a different way that I haven't done before. So yesterday, I did a speech at my advanced club, and I had never told the story of being very good at French at school.
Yeah.
So I spoke in French a lot during that speech, and they were quite amazed because they didn't know that part. I'm not fluent, but I can speak fairly well. And yeah, I think what I've realised is I need to create my own opportunities to push myself and grow, and it's giving me a new lease on life. If ever you get in that funk where you kind of think, oh, focus on your other members, because someone always needs your help, and someone will always be forever changed, like I was, if you help them. So I think for me it's getting back to mentoring and helping my clubs, not just people but clubs as well, to be the best they can be, so that you never want anyone to come in and not get a great experience, because if they turn around, go out that door like I could have, I would have missed everything, and I don't want that to happen. So I think for me it's, you've got to keep pushing yourself even after 20 years. I don't want to just say, I don't know it all. There's so much more I have to learn.
Yeah.
And like, you find that out when you push yourself in a different place. You're not...
Yes.
You suddenly find, this is uncomfortable. I've never done a podcast. It's not uncomfortable, but I've never done it.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it, but part of me is also like, oh, I hope I'm doing okay. I wonder what I'm going to sound like on the replay. And that's how you stay motivated, I think.
Okay. So keep doing new things. And,
I think so. And just giving back. You keep giving back, because when you sit with a new person who's just joined Toastmasters and they're so excited because for the first time they've spoken up in the work meeting, you're taken back to why you're there. You're taken back to how exciting it is when people do something they've never done before.
So overall, what does communication mean to you?
It's interesting. I think the biggest lesson you learn is that just because you say something doesn't mean it's heard the way you've intended it. And I think communication is getting your message out in such a way that that person hears it the way you want them to hear it. Because you might think you're very clear on something, and what we see this a lot in the speech contest. So the international speech has an inspirational, uplifting message. And people will, and I've done it, you think your message is so clear, my message is X, Y, Z. And then they'll ask a group of people in a room, what was the message? And they'll say CBE, DQR. It's nothing even like your message. And sometimes their message is better. You go, wow, that's a much better message from this speech. I think communication is being really prepared to listen. It's two-way. I've learnt And we all do it. Sometimes we wait to speak, to put our point of view in. Toastmasters, because we have evaluation at everything we do, you learn to be a better listener. So you learn to listen more intently, which is a big part of communication. But I think what Toastmasters teaches you is to be succinct and to express yourself well. And also for people who are salesmen, for people who are in the business of trying to motivate and inspire people, we learn that stories are best. We can tell people facts and figures, but if you look in your own life, it's those stories that you remember, that where you've transformed in that moment. Stories are so powerful. So that's probably communication for me, is storytelling with a point and great listening.
Yeah. And I know people are worried with AI, but I don't think communication, you can't get connection from a computer generated AI audio person. You just can't do that. So for me personally, I think speaking well is probably one of the highest skill sets that we could achieve during this time. I think it's the most important thing that we could do for ourselves.
Have you ever? I think there's a quote by Zig Ziglar, the great motivational speaker from America, and I think it was him that said, "People will always think you're more intelligent if you can speak well."
Yeah,
I don't know if you've heard that, but I know for a fact, if I look back before and after Toastmasters, if I go to a meeting for something beyond Toastmasters, you often have the confidence to get the group together and say, look, this is what we have to do. Do you want to, what have you got to say? You learn facilitation skills as well. And 9 times out of 10, people will say, well, you can present the information. People will just naturally think that you're capable of doing it because you have the confidence. And I just think that I've lost the thread of the question. But just remind me. No, I think.
No, it's good.
What was the original question about? Because I went to confidence, but you said. Because we're a good pair, aren't we? It's Sunday morning for anyone listening. It's Sunday morning. We had a big night out last night, a big Toastmasters event. Oh gosh, sorry.
No, about connection with AI and
Okay, so I was a bit like, AI, stupid AI. And I thought, you know what? One of the other things about being a Toastmaster, one of the huge things, we learn to be flexible.
That's
because
true.
we might picture ourselves on this stage. We might even walk on it, and it looks like this, it feels like this. I'm going to have a microphone. I'm going to have this and that. 20 minutes later, they say, sorry, we're changing rooms, no microphones.
Yeah.
We have to get on with it and learn to adapt, because it's not a perfect world when you're speaking. Yeah. Someone in the audience might start talking. And I think I've realised that if I really mean that, the Toastmasters have taught me to be flexible. I had to be flexible about AI.
Yes.
And I'm trying to be more open-minded about it. I personally believe your personal stories will be more important than ever, because your personal stories are so unique.
That's true.
And AI can come up with a lot of information. It may be able to come up with stories, but what connects with an audience more than anything else are your personal stories, particularly where you are flawed or you mess up. Because if you get out there and you look like you have it all together, the audience will not connect with you quite as much as if you get up there and you admit that you said something that was terrible, or you did something that you're not proud of. And that's where I think we have the edge over AI. It's artificial intelligence, but ours is from the heart.
That's right. I love that. Now, I think this will lead us to the last question, actually. And what advice would you give someone who is considering joining Toastmasters?
Yeah. Dive in. Dive in tomorrow. If there was one thing I could change in my life, I would go to Toastmasters at 18.
Yeah.
I don't regret my life. There's lots of wonderful things I've done, but my goodness me, if I had done this at 18, I can only imagine. I started at 46, I think I was. I can only imagine what I would have done with the confidence I have now, the skill set I have now. And if you're listening to this and you've even got a little bit of desire to be more in life, go to Toastmasters. You can go to a couple of different clubs. If you're not ready, or you don't want to make the commitment of going to a face-to-face club, go to an online club. That's a little less confronting, maybe, being on Zoom, but I would encourage people to have both experiences. It's great to be on Zoom, but you also need the in the room skills as well, I believe.
Yeah.
I would encourage people to have both, but I just go back to my earlier statement. You have no idea what you can do until you go to somewhere where every single fortnight or every week someone is telling you can do anything. Someone is giving you the skills to speak up. Someone is getting you to stand up, speak up, and find your confidence. The world has so many opportunities, and I think a lot of us are too scared to take them.
Yeah.
But you go to Toastmasters and you do things you never thought possible, and your life is so much the richer for it. And you do it with a bunch of people who are so interesting, so varied, and every one of them is there to support you.
Yeah.
So where do you go in life
Exactly.
where people aren't just out for themselves? It's not competitive, as I said, in an awful way. It's competitive in a way that you just lift people to be their best.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Sign me up. Oh my God.
You're already in. How many clubs you're already in?
just two. But
No, seriously, I'm really.
But really, it's
you have
fantastic.
to understand. Like I was a mess. I walked in the door, and I was a crying heap who thought life was finished. Obviously I still had my family and I had wonderful things in my life, but I seriously thought I'd never be happy again. I thought I'm never gonna. I can't be the person I was, and that's a good thing, as it turned out.
Yeah.
I never, in my wildest dreams, imagined how much I could do through this organisation. And and I want to remind people that we're volunteers. We're not paid. We don't get paid to do this. We're not. We're not financially benefiting from selling Toastmasters. When you meet people like me who are so passionate, it's because their life has changed. So it's life-changing. Sign up. Go to toastmasters.org. Go to toastmastersd70.org. Find your local club. Find an online club and join.
Wow. Thank
That's
you
my
so
stomach
much.
rumbling. My stomach is rumbling. I'm so sorry if you can hear that. I need breakfast. I'm so sorry. You see, Toastmasters are on as we met our floors.
Yes. Thank you so much, Lou. It's been an
Thank you,
absolute
Evelyn.
pleasure.
It's been lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your company. Please tune in next time to the Toastmasters Experience.